I am here at Enterprise Estonia with Raido, and he's basically giving us an introduction. It was wonderful. Give us a quick view. What happened? What is the history of Estonia?
Well, the history is short. It's only about 25 years old, and it's the coming from the legacy of Soviet Union, transforming over to this e-society we call e-Estonia.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I mean, first you talked about the Vikings, and you have a history of being invaded 10 times, I think.
Yes, even more than that. Yeah, it's a constant invasion here and occupation. So we had to get along with different cultures and countries and learn to work with them.
Yeah, you still know that. So in 1918, the first time the country was independent, and then of course afterwards immediately other occupation.
Yes, between the two world wars we had the short independence where we really worked our asses off as a manufacturing country. We're quite successful, but so we recognized this, there is a nation of Estonia, and we preserved our culture. We're now in the second independence where we have taken on our
so after the Germans and then the Russians, you're now independent since 1990. Let's talk about that. You when you came from the Russians, how was the infrastructure of the country?
It was poor. It was stagnated. As we know, there was little innovation down in the USSR, and so we had to take over a very stagnated, no process kind of a system, economic system. So we had to lay down a whole new foundation to join the free market economy.
And that's interesting because Estonia really went the ICT route. You didn't go paper so much, you went digital immediately. How come you had the ability and you had the people and you had the political will to do that?
Well, it really came from the in-house knowledge we had. We had the advisors of those this new government. They were the cybernetics students, and in the 80s we already had various universities who studied or taught.
Yeah, because the USSR really had Estonia as a focus point for programming. Huh?
Exactly, that's how it was. So the advice from them actually was taken on by those early government politics, and they was seriously adopting this throughout the 90s. Together with the paper process, they aligned the electronic process.
Yeah, it was amazing how fast you started with that. So that all started in between 1990 and 2000. Exactly. And in 2000, when did the first identity card, the digital identity card come?
Well, we had electronic systems in 2000 already that was access through the banking cards, through the electronic banking system, the authentication. But in 2012, we had our governmental ID card as well, which gave the authentication and signature. So 2000 to 2002, the real process kick-started. Yeah.
And the whole banking, the whole political system was copied from the Germans and the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, the common law and the business conduct, it was copied from Scandinavia and Germans. It has strong influence from the two regions. Yeah.
So you have 1.3 million people in about the same surface as the Dutch. So you have lots of space. Mm-hmm. The ICT infrastructure, how good is it? How much people have access to fast internet?
Infrastructure is fantastic, and it's due to the heavy investment from the Scandinavian telcos, really. So by now we have 99% of the country covered with 4G and 100 meg download speeds cable as well.
With fiber, huh? I mean,
with fiber optic.
So 87% has currently as fiber to the home.
Yeah, 86% are using this fiber to the home at the moment. So, but elderly won't tap in; they will stick with the old.
And then if you look at the, I mean, you also give an overview about the e-services of the government. How many e-services are there currently?
Plenty. There's currently, what I know is there's over 3,300 available, and there's only a few things you can't do online, is like getting a divorce or some notary procedures. Plus, we have simultaneous paper system as well. So if you want to do it paperly, you can do it locally in the office. But
yeah, you were talking about 99%. Everything about banking is 99%, and education is 100%. Is the only voting, which is possible for a long time. Only 30% does electronic voting.
Well, there's some traditions. Some things stay as tradition, and yeah, it's a changeover from this old kind of tradition of going to the ballot station and putting your paper in it and talking with your friends about who you vote for and so on.
So that's still, even though it's possible, 70% still votes by paper and goes into the ballot box.
But the votes came from more than 100 countries globally. So people on travel, on business, they were on skiing on Mont Blanc, and then they could post their vote from their mobile phone and ski on. So that's the magic of it.
Why is this passion? I mean, is the average Estonian so enthusiastic about ICT, or is it a small cybernetic bunch of enthusiasts?
No, certainly the overall from early youth till maybe mid age is they're very ambitious on growing this kind of way of living, because they understand it so well. They see how it makes their lives so much better, because let's say an average entrepreneur saves about a week of time if they sign online through this identity card or mobile ID. It's just a week of more time with your family and friends.
Yeah. Hey, you have the most simple tax system ever, huh? 0, 2020, 2020.
Yeah. And it's also most...
What does it mean, 0, 2020, 2020?
Well, it's income tax, VAT, VIT, what else? So it's really...
Dividend.
A tax on dividends, tax on extracted
That's
profits.
all 20%.
That's all 20%. So we made it really flat and easy to understand.
So the company taxes?
20%.
No, it's also 0%. Only dividend taxes. Only.
Sorry, yes, it's on reinvested profits. It's 0%. Yeah. So we drive towards the high growth companies.
So it's really interesting. You have a huge amount of startups, and you also have a lot of ICT companies who are here. Huh? I mean, you gave a big slide of about 40 companies, including NATO, who's building a cyber defense.
Yeah, it's been here since 2008, actually. That's like 7 years already. So, and the EU IT agency now with the Schengen zone and all other security systems, they're placed here as well. So you think we're in the Eastern Europe of this dodgy corner, but no, there's a huge trust from the highest unions in the world to have their cyber security excellence.
Okay, last question. This Enterprise Estonian institution, what is it?
So we promote entrepreneurship here. So we deal with trade and investment.
To the outside world, export.
Export and import as well, both ways. So we give grants to these startups, SMEs and so on. We attract FDI. We do even tourist board.
Yeah, so you help everybody who wants to do business with Estonia. They can go to Estonia Enterprise Enterprise Estonia.
We connect people. We give advice who to connect with, and we're kind of a matchmaker, sort of.
So that's the first general presentation on Estonia, a really ECT-minded country with a lot of passion. Thank you.